Hey everyone, it's the Yellow Chili, and we're back with another episode of Let's Play Empyrion Galactic Survival. We are running the Project Eden mod, and we are in our first base that we designed ourselves. I have done a few things in the, or off camera, which is the following. I did some exploration, as you guys can see here. I explored part of the planet, which is mostly the area around the equator, but also somewhere up here. I did find some more Talon territory. I did find the Polaris too. There's somewhere down here, I believe. Yeah, there's somewhere here. There is an asset production, a security, another security, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they have a trading facility. So we can't trade yet, but what I also did find is up here these two Promethium deposits. One is even medium, which is really nice. And as soon as we can make automated mining devices, we will probably pop one right here. And also I marked 2 points of interest. One is an abandoned reactor down here, and the other one is an abandoned reactor up here. Now, why did I mark those two? Basically, all of these alien POIs are somewhat interesting because they usually offer a couple of alien containers which contain a lot of useful stuff, and also they're unlike Xerox buildings, so they are not very well defended. There are a couple of creatures in there that you should be careful with. Some you might want to avoid, but generally they are doable. Even with it, let's not say right after you started the game, but even in the early game they are doable. And I will show you two approaches. One is the approach that of just arriving there, doing the whole thing, clearing it out, and then destroying the core, taking all the containers. So basically, what everybody would do. And then also, I marked the second one because if you know where the core is, you can just destroy it from a safe distance. And then you can sort of just loot the thing with your drone, which is another possibility. It's somewhat cheatery, which is why I'm showing both approaches. Some of you might not want to try that out, but sometimes you are in desperate need of resources and you can't even afford to, lose time. You can't afford to lose a lot of ammunition, a lot of health packs. Maybe you can't even make health packs. So clearing the whole thing out may not be advisable. But for now, I will get you caught up on what I have been doing. First of all, I did get some more Promethium. I'm sure we had some in here before, but not this much. Also gathered a couple more of the base resources, which is copper, iron, and silicon. I did kill another golem, so we now have 13 zescosium ore, which means we can make 20 ingots. Also, we have 28 neodymium, some gold. We can actually make a gold ingot. And that is the most important part. We were going to add a couple things to the base. So that is why we will be constructing a refrigerator and a food processor now. So this is the base refrigerator. If you do not select the different types up here and you see both, you will see it says placeable, CV, and BA, which means on a capital vessel and on the base. This one is only placeable on an SV and HV. They are basically the same. They have a different capacity, obviously, because this is a small block and this is a large block. But other than that, they both serve as well as a refrigerator. So let's build one of these. Let's also see if we have unlocked the food processor, because I didn't see that. Yeah, see, we haven't unlocked it, which is what we're going to do right about now. Because we also want to make a food processor. Because we still have our stuff in the small vessel, fridge, and we really need to start storing that stuff in our base. Now, also, what I've been doing, I have gathered some more Promethium, as I said. I am making fuel cells right now. Actually, I'm just making Promethium pellets because I unlocked the double fuel cell, which is this, but with twice, actually I think with 5 times the capacity, which you can unlock up here under MISC, and it's this one. This one is obviously much better, but we are not level 20 yet, so we can't do that. Also, speaking about the auto mining devices, we need to be level 12 to do that, which is not going to be much of a problem if we have looted one of the abandoned reactors. I also refilled this guy. It now has a couple of fuel packs, which means we will not run out of O2 bottles and water too soon. And refilled the tanks in the base and the O2 tanks in the base and the SV. And all right. So let's make some additions to the base. Now, as always, we're going to connect this container. Oh, we were still connected to some container. Let me check that first, because I think it was the SV container, maybe, perhaps. Small vessel. Why does the small vessel have... It doesn't have an output. This is the base output. There's something glitchy here. Yeah, the small vessel doesn't have an output. Okay, anyways. It may have to do with the error I keep getting. I've been switching back and forth between Alpha 12 and Alpha 11 because I still want to finish this Let's Play. I have to stick with Alpha 11 because loading it in Alpha 12 didn't quite work out as I thought it would. And but I still wanted to try it out, and Alpha 12 offers a great variety of new stuff, and it is still somewhat glitchy, so that's why I will continue this Let's Play in Alpha 11. Alright, let's place the food processor. I'm actually tempted to sort of place them in front of here. What did we put here? This is a container control for ammo. Or maybe we'll place them... Oh, we can't place them here. Yeah, we put in the windows from the inside, which means this block is already occupied, so we can't place anything here. So let's just place them here. That'll be fine. You can switch it. Basically, it doesn't matter which way you put it in. I kind of like to have the control panel up here, so you can see it from the front, but you don't have to. It doesn't matter. Also, the design of the fridge, it matters in how much capacity it has. For instance, if you look here, volume 500 SU. Actually, no, this is the volume of the. Wait, it doesn't change. Oh, volume capacity. I'm sorry. Volume capacity 500 SU, and this one has volume capacity 1000 SU or 1K SU, and this is also 500. I like to mix them up a little bit, but this is going to be our primary fridge for the ingredients. And what I also tend to do, you only need one really, but since I want to have a fridge for ingredients and one for the finished food, I will make a second one. And which is not going to be a problem because it only uses basic resources and we have a lot of them. I also managed to find some cobalt, by the way, which is like an intermediate resource. Cobalt is required to build the stuff you need to build advanced stuff, putting it that way. So I did find some cobalt rocks in those irradiated areas, which we can now safely traverse because we have the medium armor, which is really nice. Yeah, I also, in those irradiated areas, I told you about the spitting bugs earlier. There are some other nasty creatures. Most notably the Xerox, because I apparently, or accidentally, I'm tempted to say, didn't notice that I was going to a irradiated area in Xerox territory. So I was shot a couple times by a rocket launcher. Fortunately, no blocks were damaged and I could just repair them, but that scared the hell out of me. But yeah, back to the base. We have, it's called Fridge 2 because it's Type 2. It's not actually the second one. This is the first one we placed. And in order to rename it, we need to auto group, or not auto group, but generally group it. But I always just press auto group. And we will name this Ingredients. Now the second one, I chose a different one just to show it off. It's Fridge 3. It's not actually our third one. It's just the Type 3. And we will name this Food. Okay, the food processor is now ready. You have to select an input just like with any constructor. So we're going to choose Ingredients and we're going to choose Food as the output. And then we can transfer stuff from our SV fridge to Ingredients. I also managed to wrestle down a alien assassin in one of the irradiated areas, which gave us confetti moss scrapings, fire moss scrapings, and yeah, I think that's it. Which is not too bad, because that stuff is required to make medical products. And we also kind of want to get our food production going, which we could potentially do here. I'm just wondering, is there increased temperature near the capacitors? No, there isn't. So that probably makes this the area where we're going to put our little farm in. It is getting quite dark, so why don't we add... Before it's completely dark, let's add some more base defense. I am aware we did this before, but let's add two more projectile turrets. And I am quite sure we have some more concrete blocks in our output. Yeah. So... let's check this out again. We put one defense right up here, one up here. And originally, like I said, I was going to put one on that side. Maybe I'll put one there. But then also, the other one has to go somewhere up here, because we want to make sure we can intercept drones before they get close enough to the base. Turrets have a lot of HP. So even if one breaks, it won't be too bad. So, but we don't want our solar panels or our core to be destroyed or damaged. Alright, another advantage of having a suit is the suit light. Where are we going to put this turret? Yeah, the suit light makes things a lot easier because you don't have to switch to your light, to the player light that you have from the start. And, oh wait, I forgot to... See, this is something you need to remember. You need to say connect to the base. Connect to base, because only then will you be able to place these blocks without actually connecting them. Okay, so we will probably put this in here, but I'm tempted to make it a little higher so it will not be blocked by this hill. And I'm actually really looking forward to the Xerix attack because first of all, I want to see whether the guns are working the way I want them to work, because they may not. Sometimes they, I don't know, it's not that they don't work, but sometimes they don't do what you want them to do. So, oh wait, we need to give this some color. What is the color we gave to that other thing? I think it was the brick thing, right? The brick texture. Yeah, brick texture and just black on top. Oops. Alright. So, let's give this brick a look. Here we go. And the reason why this always seems to not fit is because these blocks are were turned. Like when you place them, whoops. So the standard orientation of a square block has the bottom side to the bottom, obviously, but the standard orientation of this is this way, and so we switched it or turned it on this axis, which means they're actually facing the wrong way, which is why this texture doesn't align automatically. But fortunately, hitting a block twice with the same texture will just rotate it. Alright. Wait a second, no. We need to give this another texture. I'm actually not sure which one we chose, but we'll just use this one for the top. Yeah, let's put it in this way. Alright, this is great. And another thing that that you might want to consider is the direction from which the Xerx like to attack. There is a drone base on this planet. I think we already discovered it. Radar station. Anti-aircraft turret danger. Well, we'll see about that. Maybe my SV is more danger to it than it is to my SV. I was sure I discovered the drone base, but I may be wrong. Maybe I just saw it. Sometimes you can see a building on the horizon without actually discovering it. So I think that's what happened, because I was sure I saw it. Alright, I think we're actually going to put this in the water here. Building in the water is actually no different than building on land, except you usually can't see the blocks when you're above water and want to place it below water. So, just use your drone to go below water, or below the water line, and then you can just draw this up to the surface. Actually, I think I don't want this showing so much. And this is just the right height for it to just be below the water line, and then we could place the turret on top. And one advantage of using the drone underwater is that you will not use oxygen. Now, we're on an arid starter, so it doesn't really matter, because we will use oxygen regardless of whether we're in the water or not, because the planet doesn't have a breathable atmosphere. But if you start on a temperate starter, for instance, this comes in really handy, because usually you don't need an oxygen supply, and you will not have much of an oxygen supply on a temperate starter. So, you may not have the possibility of going into water for prolonged periods of time. Alright, then, we have just constructed our 4th base turret, and looking forward to the Xerx attack, actually. Oh, one other thing that we need in here, as you guys can see, is light. We do not have light. And fortunately, the developers thought of this, so you can actually just make lights. And now, you don't want those lights to be on when you're not there. You can't have them, you can have them switch on and off regarding, or in relation to whether somebody is around. But unfortunately, you can't have a daylight sensor, which is something I would really like, because I only want my lights on during the night. Because I usually build bases like this, where during the day you have a lot of light coming in. But this isn't available yet. So let's just get 4 lights and a sensors and signals, which is... actually, this is just a sort of collection of several devices that you can use. You could also have a switch, which actually we'll do that. That's even better. We'll put in a switch and a sensor, so I can show off how circuits work. And this is actually a design that I've used quite a few times in the past, because oh, we already had sensors. Interesting. We must have oh yeah, we took them from our old base. Never mind. Anyways, I am thinking we might want a light here. Can we put something here? No, we can't, because these windows are attached from the inside. But we can do this here. Or we could also have a light like this. Now we can't have that here, so we'd have to have it here. That's actually not bad. Now, with lights, there are different settings. I like to use them on spotlight mode because it's way more realistic. If you don't have them on spotlight mode, they will just illuminate the area around them, which is fine for this one. You can change intensity and range, and actually this one light is probably enough to light up the whole base. But then when you're near it, it's very, very bright. So you might want to reduce that a little bit. I think 2.2 is fine, and since this is a living area, we might want to make this a little more orangey, sort of. And then we'll just place another light, or two lights maybe, up here. I'm thinking... probably going to want one here. Actually, no, we'll use this one. This looks a little more like a living room. And this one should be white, though, because this is not a living area, but... So, setting it on spotlight, you can see it looks like it's a lot darker. If we increase intensity, maybe only to 3, and range to 15, you will see there's like a light cone down here. So this is what spotlight mode does. It basically gives the light a direction. Increasing this angle, however, will make it sort of illuminate the area around it, but not the area behind it like this one does. So let me show you the difference. If you disable spotlight mode, you can see that the entire ceiling is now illuminated, which is, first of all, not very realistic, because this light has like a frame, so this wouldn't be the case normally. And secondly, it's not what I want, because I don't need to look at the ceiling. I don't need to see anything up here. Okay, now this will be the spot for our grow light, for the plants that we're planning on planting. So let's make another one here at the constructor. This looks fine. And then I think we're gonna add another one here, maybe. Or one, we could add one out. I'm sorry, guys. We could add one outside. Here, for instance. Yeah, I think I like that a lot. Okay, now with sensors. You have... If you select the sensors, press the right mouse button, you have a variety of things that you can use. Trapdoors is a whole different story. It's not really much of a sensor. It's just like a trapdoor, as the name says. And this trigger is also something different. You could use the light barrier, so when someone steps through, it will trigger something, but I prefer using the motion sensor, because the motion sensor will trigger and transmit a continuous signal, which means as long as you're in the motion sensor's area, it will transmit a signal to the lights, which is what we're going to do and what we want. You can turn this a couple of ways. I think the best way for the motion sensor is to have it with the red dot on the bottom, because that is the actual orientation you should use. Now, we could also place a lever up here, which we're going to do. This is probably the only spot we can place it without looking weird. We could also place it on the container controller. Yeah, let's place it here for now. We can always remove it later. It doesn't matter whether you put this upside down or left, right. It really doesn't. But, okay, next step. You need to assign a signal. This motion sensor has a signal. You just press P in front of it. This is the standard screen. You will be, you know that you have it selected when it says motion sensor up here. If you just press P on the fridge, it'll say fridge 2. You can't do anything. So you're going to want this to show, motion sensor. And then you're going to go to signal logic and give this signal a name. For instance, we can name this inside sensor. So this is now the signal that this sensor will transmit. You could also have the sensor turn on and off using another signal, but if you now select this one, you will have a signal loop, which will cause the whole thing to not work. So we'll just leave it to that for now, and we will give this one another name, and it'll be called inside switch. Now back to the sensor. If you go to devices again, you can see there's a red frame showing up here. This is the coverage area. In order to change this, you could either use these buttons or you could use the interactive setup. Now you can just freely move around, and at the bottom right it will tell you what you have to do in order to change this field. What I always do, I use left control, left alt, and the numpad buttons to shrink it to 0 size basically. Because sometimes you place a sensor upside down, somehow twisted, so you will not have intuitive directions basically for the numpads. Now, since we placed it the right way, it should show, or it should be oriented in a way that if we press Control and 6, it should expand to the right. Control and 4 will expand it to the left. Control and 5 is always the depth. So we will move this forward quite a lot, because we now have a light outside, and we want this light to not only trigger when we're inside, but also when we're in front of the base. So we'll probably extend this up to here. We need to extend this down, I would say 2, because this ground is a little lower than inside the base. So we want this to trigger at all times. We'll expand this to the left, so that when we're on our couch reading or just hanging out, we want these lights to be on. And we're also going to extend it to the right, because we want our lights to be on while working on the constructors or doing something with the container controllers. Okay, once you are finished, once you think the coverage area is large enough, you can press Escape. It'll save that. If you go back here, you'll see it was saved. You can just go back. And now we're going to go to the signal logic. Now, what we want is, we want the lights to be on when this switch is down and when somebody's inside this area. Why do we do this? If we were just to set this these lights to turn on when somebody's in the area, then the lights would also be on during the day. But I want to have the ability to also switch the lights off while I'm inside, maybe during the day, maybe during the night when I want to sleep. Of course, this is just imaginary sleeping. But like I said, I want to have the ability to manually turn them on or off even when this sensor has triggered. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the signal logic, and we will add a AND circuit. Because we only want the lights to be on when the switch is on and when somebody's in the area. Now, you can select these from here. This is the two signals you will combine with this AND. You can select the two we just created. There's also 0 and 1. This is useful if you want one signal to always trigger. I'd have to go into more depth to explain the use of this, but maybe we'll get into more extended circuitry later on. For now, suffice it to say that inside sensor, inside switch should both be on. That's why it's an AND circuit. And this will be inside lights. This will create a new signal, which is called inside, lights we wanted to say. Oh, we can't because it's too long. Okay, inside light works too. All right, now what do we need to do in order to have our lights realize there is a signal coming or not? Go to the lights, press P again. If you're not in the signal logic, you will have this light selected. Then go to signal logic, and you will go to on and off. And now you have to select the right signal, which is now inside light. Don't be alarmed, the light will probably turn off. This is a sign that, or most of the time, this is a sign that you've done it correctly. Because you are in the coverage area, and the light will just turn off. I don't know why they did this, but it's kind of useful. Because this way you will know, okay, I did the right thing. Same here. Let's do it with this light as well. And then there's the outside light. We might take this out of the circuit later on, because maybe we want this to be on at all times. But for now, we'll just use it. Now, if you want this to trigger, you need to leave the catchment area of the sensor for now. And then go back inside. Now, why is this not turning on again? Because our switch is up. Our switch is on red. If we now put it on green, our base should be illuminated, and it is. And now let's do the let's do another checkup. If we leave the area while the switch is down, things should still turn off because we're now out of the catchment area of the sensor. And once we go back in, the lights will turn back on. Now, why is this necessary? Why can't we have a base that's illuminated at all times? First of all, like I said, I like my lights to be off during the day. But secondly, they use power. So we can compare this. It shouldn't be a lot for 4 lights, but you may want to build a base where you have, let's say, 100 lights. And it'll get somewhat significant. So if we go to statistics, it tells us we have 3 hours and 1 minute left. If we turn this off, we already gained 5 minutes from just 4 lights. Now imagine having 100 lights. This really adds up. So you can also have independent sensors for different areas, which really makes sense. You don't want everything illuminated at the same time. So yeah, this is how sensors and lights work. Now we do want to have this on right now because we still have 4 hours until the morning. So while we are not really busy, let's check up on this guy. Because I had him made... There goes the timer, which is perfect. I had to make Promethium pellets, which we're going to put in here. Oh, this is the output. We want to put this in the input, obviously. And we're going to get this Promethium ore from the input and have the constructor outside make more Promethium pellets. Why do I do this with the outside constructor? Well, it doesn't use power. And right now, I don't care how long this takes. I just want the pellets. And we're suffocating again, which is great. Let's go back inside because we have O2 here. And let's refill. And this is going to be it for now. Just going to refill the oxygen right now. And in the next video, we're probably going to add some more solar panels, but that is it for the base. No, we're gonna add the I was gonna say flower pots, but it's not really. It's grow plots because we're not gonna grow flowers here. We want to make sure we have food available at any time, and we want to make sure we can make emergency rations because they will never go bad, and it's always nice to have a couple of those in your inventory for missions like the ones we are about to do with the abandoned factories. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe, leave a comment, or share it. I will appreciate it. It helps the channel, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.